The wind howled across the barren mesa like a warning from the gods, carrying with it the scent of gunpowder, rain, and vengeance. The sun bled into the horizon, turning the desert sky into a smear of crimson fire. The world out here was lawless, wild, and sacred only to those who could survive it. In the heart of this dust-blown wilderness, a lone cabin stood against the dying light, half shelter, half grave. Inside, a woman, heavy with child, knelt by the flickering fire, her hands trembling not from weakness but from the storm that brewed in her soul. Her belly carried life, yet her heart was bound to death. For days she had been running, from soldiers, from lies, from a man whose name the frontier whispered like a curse. They called him the devil from the north. He wasn't born evil but molded by betrayal and blood. Years ago, he rode into these same hills with a smile that could disarm and eyes that burned through the truth. Now every outlaw and drifter knew that if the devil was coming, someone had wronged him, and someone was going to pay. But before he returned, before his shadow crawled over the valley again, there had been the night of the ropes, the night she changed the fate of 5 men. The Apache warriors had been captured by ranch militias, accused of slaughtering settlers. Tied to posts, left to die under the white eye of the moon, they had no hope. Yet she came, dragging her swollen body through the brush, a knife in her hand and fire in her heart. The men had been warriors once. Now they were ghosts waiting for release. She cut through the ropes one by one, her breath ragged, her mind screaming for silence. When the last cord snapped, the warriors stood free, faces painted in disbelief. She didn't speak. She simply nodded toward the east and vanished into the dark. No one knew why she did it. Some said she had loved one of them once. Others believed she was paying for a sin too great to name. But the truth was deeper. She had spared them not out of mercy, but because somewhere in her chest she carried a fire that refused to let injustice live. The soldiers found the empty posts by dawn. Word spread like wildfire through every camp and canyon. The Apache killers were loose, freed by a woman no one dared name. The bounty went up. Hunters rode out, and somewhere north of the San Pedro River, a man with eyes cold as winter dusted off his coat, strapped on his gun belt, and smiled for the first time in years. The devil from the north had heard the tale, and he knew exactly who had done it. He had been waiting for a reason to come back. Now vengeance was his saddle, and justice was the horse beneath him. Weeks passed. The woman found shelter in the edge of a canyon where the rocks whispered and the coyotes sang. The Apache she'd freed watched her from the ridges, unseen but grateful. They owed her a debt that no blood could balance. She hunted small game, drank from the river, and whispered prayers to a child not yet born. But peace is a fragile thing on this land. One morning she heard the thunder of hooves, steady, unhurried, deliberate. She froze, heart thudding like a war drum. Dust rose in the distance, and through it came a single rider. His coat was black as the grave, his face half shaded by a wide hat. His stallion gleamed like midnight steel. Even the wind seemed to stop breathing as he dismounted. The woman's eyes filled with a storm of recognition and dread. She didn't need to see the scar that ran from his jaw to his ear. She already knew. The devil from the north had returned. He stood there for a long moment, his gaze locked on her swollen belly, then on the knife she had tucked into her belt. His voice, when it came, was quiet, but it could have frozen hell itself. "You freed them," he said. 5 men condemned by law. You cut their ropes." She didn't flinch. "They weren't guilty," she whispered. He took a slow step forward, spurs ringing like a death toll. "And what makes you the judge of guilt?" She met his stare unbroken. "Because I've seen what men like you call justice." The air between them trembled. Behind him, the sky darkened as if the land itself braced for war. In his silence, she saw memories. The raids, the betrayals, the blood he spilled when the army burned his home and called it order. The devil from the north had once been a man who fought for freedom. But somewhere along the trail, vengeance had swallowed him whole. "You think you can save them?" he said. "You can't save anyone out here. Not me, not them, not even that child." Her jaw tightened. "Then why are you here?" He paused, his eyes flicking to her stomach again. "Because," he said, "I came to finish what started years ago." She stepped back, hand tightening on her knife. But before either could move, a cry echoed through the cliffs, the Apache war cry. The 5 she had freed had returned, their voices rolling like thunder, their silhouettes appearing on the ridge above, arrows notched, rifles raised. The devil turned slowly, his hand hovering over his gun. The woman stood between him and the warriors, her voice fierce as the wind. "No more blood," she shouted. Not today. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. The devil's hand dropped. The warriors hesitated. Then, one by one, they lowered their weapons. The eldest of them, his face carved with scars and wisdom, spoke in the old tongue, his words echoing off the canyon walls. "The debt is paid," he said. "She gave us life. We give her peace." And like ghosts, they vanished into the desert. The woman sagged, exhausted, her knees buckling. The devil caught her before she fell. For the first time, his touch was not cruel. He lifted her gently and carried her back toward the cabin. "You should have left me dead," he murmured. "Maybe then I'd have stayed gone." That night, lightning split the sky. The rain came down hard, drumming against the roof. Inside, the fire burned low. The woman lay on the cot, labor pains tearing through her. The devil sat beside her, silent, watching as life fought its way into the world. When the child's cry finally pierced the storm, something broke inside him. A chain, a curse, a lifetime of rage. He looked at the newborn and then at her, and for the first time in forever, his eyes softened. "He's free," she whispered. "He'll never know the weight we carried." The devil nodded slowly, then rose. "I can't stay," he said. "My hands are too stained for peace." She reached out, her fingers brushing his. "Then make peace your punishment." When dawn came, he was gone, vanished into the mist with the rising sun. But on the ridge, the Apache had built a fire, their smoke rising in salute. The woman held her child and smiled faintly. Justice had found its way, not through death, but through mercy born in the blood and dust of the wild. And far to the north, the devil rode on, his heart no longer black, but burning with the faint light of redemption. Moral message and motivation. Every scar tells a story. Every act of mercy births a new beginning. Justice isn't always found in vengeance, it's found in courage, compassion, and the strength to forgive even when the world won't.